In this video, we're going to take a look at the Lamy Safari. Let's begin at the end with my thoughts on this pen. One of the things that people sometimes don't care for is that triangular grip. And I don't see that to really be an issue unless you have an unusual grip for your pen. Then it's something to pay attention to. But for me, it's not any kind of real problem. And this pen is super durable. And the fact that it's plastic, if you don't want to spend the extra money on an All-Star, this holds up really, really well. One of the things I really enjoy about this pen the most is how easy it is to change the nib and try different nib options, especially if you're not at a point where you actually know exactly what nib you like to use the most. It makes this a really good pen to experiment with. That's what I used it for at one point, was to really experiment with different nib sizes because it was easy to change out and inexpensive to do. Generally speaking, I find the Lamy nibs are a bit more feedback and occasionally scratchy, and I have had to do a little bit of work on them sometimes for the All-Stars and Safari. Normally not very much. Sometimes it's just a slight tine alignment, but I think this is a great pen for its price, and I do use these a lot because I like to go out and write. Now that we know how I feel about the Lamy Safari, let's see how I got to that opinion, starting with the unboxing. The Lamy Safari comes in very nice disposable packaging, which has been disposed of years ago. While I didn't hold on to the packaging for the Lamy pens, like their brand, it is incredibly utilitarian to keep the pen safe and get it to you. For those that don't like to keep the boxes, that is a real plus. If you really do like to keep the boxes, then maybe you wouldn't be as happy. The Lamy 2000 comes in a really nice box. Take a look at that if you want the box. With the pen out of the box, we need to get to the nib. Now, to be honest, as long as it doesn't take 20 turns to uncap a pen, I'm fine. But how many turns does this pen take to get uncapped? The Lamy Safari is a pull cap. This is a very positive closing snap cap, and it's not the most satisfying of snap caps, but it certainly is strong enough to not have any kind of worry about whether or not your pen is closed. I've worn this pen hanging off the neck of a shirt many times at work and never had a single problem. If I've ever dropped the pen, I've dropped the entire pen with the cap and it stayed on. This gets us to the nib. This pen has a steel 1.5 stub on it. The Safari and the All-Star have interchangeable and very distinctive nibs. I believe they'll also work for the LX. Now, I have their steel nibs. I don't have their gold nibs, and I haven't felt a need to get them because I do think they write well enough as a steel nib that I don't know that I'm going to get more enjoyment out of their gold version. If you enjoy videos like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. Now, let's ink this pen up. The Lamy Safari is a proprietary cartridge or converter filler that holds approximately 1.1 milliliters of ink. The ink for today is Ackerman's SBRE Brown. It makes me very happy when pen companies have proprietary converters, and Lamy does, and their converters are absolutely top-notch. I haven't had to replace one of their converters for as much as I've used them, and I think if you've followed this channel, you know that I put a lot of inks through these pens, so it keeps holding up and going strong. I like it. As a habit, I don't normally post my pens, but some pens need to be posted, and some people prefer to post their pens. This posts very nice, secure, deep onto the pen. It's not any kind of a problem. I find even though there's not a need to post this, for some reason post it almost all the time when I'm using it. It's one of the few pens I always post. I don't really know why. It doesn't need it to be comfortable in the hand or to be large enough or anything like that, but just for some reason, I do. So it does post very well. Now, the important part, the writing sample. This particular one I've been using with a stub for a while, and I do tend to change out their nibs from time to time. Like, it is much more common for me to have a fine nib on this pen than it is a stub, which was the reason I went with a stub for this year. Now, I really like the writing experience with this pen. Like I said, I do sometimes have a scratchy nib from them, but a lot of times it's a minor alignment issue and it's very easy to fix. Once it's fixed, they write beautifully. They do have quite a bit of feedback. Now, I like how durable the pen is because I like to go out, sit down and write, or sit down and draw. And when you're out and about and you just have your pen out, then you stand a chance of dropping it, especially if you're working with more than one color while you're drawing. You may, juggling those pens, drop them. This pen has been dropped a number of times and always does really well. You don't even see any scarring on the body because it's so durable. This is, without a doubt, a very good pen for collecting with its many colors, for the beginners with its very affordable price point. The only thing is the one thing people talk about, the triangular grip, if you don't care for it. Now, that triangular grip has a purpose. This was originally a student's pen and helped to teach people to write correctly. So if you have a non-standard grip, that might be your problem. Not my problem, your problem. But if you're teaching a young one to write, then this could be a really good pen to use, especially since the nibs, as I said, are easily replaceable and very affordable to get a hold of. Lamy is very user-friendly with their customers when it comes to making parts available. Now for something a bit more standard in comparing writing size. I use Mnemosyne Blue to do this. Here's how it compares to a Jowo Extra Fine on the left, a medium on the right, in the center. Now, this being a stub, it writes as a stub, and it comes in normal as stubs do. I'm going to go ahead and comment on their other size nibs, where their fine is, as expected, a fine. They don't write in a way that would be unexpected. So I do find that it is a very reliable source for getting a particular size nib. So how does it compare in writing size to other nibs I've used? Looking at the writing of a Lamy Safari with a 1.5 stub, here it is next to a Pelican M205 with a double broad nib, a Sailor 1911 large with a zoom nib, a Platinum 3776 with a music nib, and a Pen BBS 456 with a Goulet 1.5 stub. It isn't a pen review without doing some size comparisons. Here it is capped. Here it is uncapped. And here it is posted. I would call these pens in general slightly larger than normal, which is a very good thing for avoiding hand fatigue. A larger pen can stop cramping in your hands. It's not large enough to deal with if you have arthritic hands, but it is very comfortable to write for long periods of time, and I've never had any issues with these pens once they're going. At this point, we have a dirty pen that we need to go ahead and clean. Be sure to check out the next pen review where we take a look at the Sailor 1911 Large. Do you have an especially stubborn ink that just won't come out of your pen? Have I got the thing for you? Pen flush. That's right, not just any pen flush, the very same kind of pen flush that gets used in the resistance test here. And for the low price of $19.95, you can get half a milliliter. That's right, half a milliliter. Act now. Get yours today. If you want to be able to support not just my channel, but any reviewer, then when you make a purchase, be sure to tell that retailer where you heard about it. Thanks for watching.